Hello everyone out there on YouTube, this is me, Loking3, aka Blame Others, and we're here with a slightly different video today. Today, as the title's gonna obviously tell you, I'm gonna be doing a book review. Well, not really a physical book review, an audiobook. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is that because, well, especially, with Corona and even before Corona, with work in general, it does make it harder to really want to have the time and energy to play more games. But I at the beginning of this year, I tested out being able to read audiobooks, and I actually got into reading audiobooks. More so the Five Nights at Freddy's series. If you guys don't know those books, the Fazbear Fight books, that's what I've been reading too. But last month, I had an extra credit, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I decided to grab a book called Valkyr the Dragon. And based on the reviews, it sounded like it was an okay book, maybe kind of fun. So I read it. And again, the point of this is where it leads up to this video. I read the book, I really enjoyed it, and I thought I'd do a review about it. So, that's just kind of the startup of the premise for what this video is going to be, because I've obviously never done a book review before. I tried to somewhat give myself a script here, which is basically just kind of notes on the story to kind of keep my, make sure I don't lose my train of thought, and to try and also remember anything that's particularly important. Also, too, to say, Spiral will be here on the side, kind of listening in. Yeah, he's free to pop in too if he wants to say something or if he's interested. I also want to try and see if I can maybe get him interested in a book, because apparently he's just very stubborn to read. I really like reading. Do you want to say hi, Spiral? Just because, again, you might not say anything the rest of the video.
Hello.
So yeah, again, let's start off with a summary of the story. Also, too, to say, there will be tons and tons of spoilers if you're interested in this book. Again, the link to the audiobook on Audible will be in the description, as well as a link to the Amazon page if you want to physically buy the book. The author worked hard on this. If you want to, again, look him up and do other things, feel free to. So, the summary of this book, as you would read on any of the pages, is that a man named Victor is part of this magical world, and oh my goodness, I can't believe that's actually the one thing I didn't write down. I didn't write down the name of the world, but the point being, he's part of this magical world, and one day, just randomly, he meets a dragon called Valkyr. While attempting not to die, he persuades Valkyr to not kill him by basically giving him some information about basically what he was doing, like what he's doing. And that leads to shenanigans. Shenanigans ensue. Things happen. He goes through things, funny things. They eventually travel together. What will happen when a dragon becomes an adventurer? That's the real basic premise of the story. And again, before we get into spoiler side, this is just me kind of doing the intro for the story and to kind of entice you if you want to try it out before I start saying other things. So it is actually a part of a genre I didn't even know about until after I saw this book. It's called Lit RPG. That's the way it's written. It's LIT RPG, which is basically like a literary RPG. It's basically the world is designed in the sense of kind of being like a video game, and that's kind of the way the story is going to be told. Now, for this story in particular, while the gamey elements are present, that's really not the focus of the story. The real main focus really isn't about the leveling, the grinding, the special abilities. It really is focused on Valkyr and Victor's relationship and their relationship to other characters. it's much more of a comedy. Also, by the way, it's not really like a high adventure, super action. There are action moments, and there are like uh, there is an overarching story. It's not just goofs here and there. But if you really do want like a nice laugh, and if you like lowbrow humor, kind of like I do, well, this might be something you like. It's a kind of a nerdy with lots of references if you're paying attention to kind of get, and it's just all around a nice, fun little book. Um, as far as it being an audiobook too, because obviously this is also part of it being an audiobook. I will definitely say that the person who did the voiceover, the reading, did a very good job. I think that the fact that I don't know if it was him directly or his company kind of did it for him, or however it's done over there at Audible. I don't exactly know, or whatever company they're doing it through. But he added sound effects. It is just a man, but he also tries to spice things up for obviously like the different kinds of characters. There are monster kind of characters in this thing. Obviously, Valkyr himself is a dragon, and he changes his voice using like a voice modulator or some kind of like audio software, etc., etc. But overall, again, really good job. A flub here and there where it's kind of like, a small error is a small error. There's really nothing you can say that really was bad. The length of the story, the the actual reading part is 35 chapters long. Overall, the book is about the main story is about 13 and a half, 14 hours. As far as the listening goes, if you're listening to it at the normal speed, which again I'm not going to count if you listen to it at 2 times speed or something, but the overall length is supposed to be about 14 hours. Another thing that might really interest you about this kind of book is that the world itself is kind of if you guys don't know Dungeons and Dragons, when you're thinking about making a world, because things like paladins and clerics, religion and churches exist, there's usually what we call an involved gods, not involved gods, or basically kind of non-existent gods, where they don't actively or unactively participate. They're just thought of as being there, and they play their role by being thought about. But this story, definitely the gods are a lot more involved. The gods of this world do play a role in the story without getting into the spoiler side of stuff, which we will do for the second half of this video. But that again, if that's something else you want to be interested in, or if again any of this is something interesting to you, again, links are in the description. I recommend this book. I like this book. If you want me to give it a score, I would say, again with my biases, 8.5 to 9 out of 10. It's a really fun book that if you want something to read and want a lighthearted story, that'd be good. So now for the second half of this story, for the second half of this video, not story, I'm gonna go into spoiler territory. So again, I have basically the whole story charted out here in front of me. If anything I said so far interests you, please go read the book. Please support the author by purchasing the book, the audiobook, whichever one you want or are capable of doing. That'd be probably really nice for him, I bet. So again, you've been warned. Give you 5 seconds while I also ready myself just to make sure you don't get caught off guard. So now for the spoiler side of things. Again, this is gonna be more or less all the story without some of the finer details of things. But I think it really has to be said if you really want to know everything about the story and the setup for this. So again, as I said in the beginning, and as you'll probably get from the small little summary before you see on the book's pages, again, Victor goes to Valkyr's horde, because he's an adventurer. An adventurer in this world is someone who, well, you adventure, you go around, you do things, you get paid. That's kind of what an adventurer is. He decided to take on a task to go and retrieve a sword. Unbeknownst to him, that sword happened to be part of Valkyr's horde. Um, and again, as I said before, or for those of you who know dragons, I am pretty sure you would think you should know that dragons don't exactly appreciate when you steal things from them, let alone treasure. um, so in exchange for not dying, Victor told him about what classes are in this world. In this world, again, it is a literary RPG, lit RPG. Um, in this world, there's like a system in place where any person, any being on the planet is allowed to level up. Depending on your actions, how you live, and what you do, you get different levels. Um, but apparently, unbeknownst to Victor, Valkyr knew nothing of it, and we'll get to this later on. He knew nothing of the system in place. He didn't know anything about levels or the various classes that come with those levels. So when Victor told him about this, he unintentionally gave Valkyr his first level in the system. And as we'll learn later on, that is technically good, but not seen as very good. So again, some shenanigans ensue. The personality of Valkyr is this. He's a greedy dick. There will be some swearing, by the way. I mean, there's sex in this book, by the way. You should not be reading this book if you, if you're not at least a teenager or something. So he's a greedy dick who, or apparently, as we'll learn later on, all dragons are dicks who think everyone's shittier than they are, and just want money. That's all they want in their life is money. Somehow, everything they say and do has to connect back to making more money. So he introduces him to his guild hall, his local guild hall, which happens to be the village near Valkyr's cave. They meet a reoccurring character called Charlene. She is obviously not very happy that one, Victor brought a dragon. Period. Two, that he is apparently wants to be an adventurer and has class levels. And three is just, again, a giant asshole. So again, things happen. They go on their first quest, which is to kill some tough trolls that people have been having trouble deal with in the area. Because again, guess what? Valkyr is gonna get paid if they do this, and for him, trolls are one of his favorite words, snacks. He has a couple words that are very, very, I'm like part of his speech pattern, very repetitive for him. Snacks, food, and I'm a dragon, or some of his go-tos. One thing I forgot to mention, sorry, right at the beginning, for introducing him to the class system and believing him to potentially be a very good servant, Victor's made Valkyr's chief of staff, by the way, which, when he's made his chief of staff, actually does unlock a special class for Victor himself, which again plays somewhat of a role as the story goes on. So they do that. They get paid. They cause destruction. Destruction just, is left in their wake because Valkyr doesn't know how to be not dragony, I guess. I don't know, because all dragons are apparently like this. They just do as they please, and they don't know what consequences or how other species feel about anything. Not just humans, even the other monster races, they don't particularly care. Valkyr, they try to poison him. He gets away. He actually likes the poison, and actually gains a little perk from trying to be poisoned. It's pretty funny. Um, we're also introduced to the name of the continent. Well, some of the countries within the continent. Gardamain, which is the country they're currently in. Ishvania, which is one of the neighboring like another war state. And we also get introduced to something else down there. Apparently, there was also like to go kill a giant squid quest near a fishing village. That's apparently just done off screen because they mentioned it afterwards. Um, but oh, sorry. But the next major thing that happens, I don't know how. I don't want to skip this over. This is why I have this stuff written down here. They go to a city called Hortimer, where they want to fight off some of the bandits that are around called the Scorchers. Uh, Again, long story short, they do beat them. I wouldn't say it's a particularly important part of the story, other than again Valkyr and Victor becoming a little closer. Uh, I will say though that one of the probably the nicer things that they find some kobolds, and they and these kobolds just happen to be holding part of something very important in the story. Basically, they have an iPad. We eventually learn it's an iPad. It's an iPad that the evil guys want because it has a lot of information. With this, we learn that obviously one that Victor is from our world, and that apparently both of these worlds are connected. Victor is what we know what is known as in their world acclaimed. The gods the gods are allowed to choose people who die on our world to bring to their world. And again, we get into that a little later. But so that happens. They do that thing. They save the town, and they have some new, well, as Valkyr would put, minions. But Victor considers them their friends in the kobolds. Actually, two of the kobolds do die, and behind Valkyr's back, Victor sacrifices some of his magical items in order to be able to resurrect them. Oh, also, too, actually, in this place, we do get introduced to the gods. There's a temple in the city where we take a little stroll through. There's 12 gods of this world. And again, they act like Norse gods, where they act like Norse gods, but they're referred to again as more in D&D terms. Each one of them has their own little portfolio that they're responsible for, and they used to be adventurers that apparently rose to godhood. So, take that as you will. Um, um, then the next plot point in the story would be, uh, Valkyr and Victor are defending their new horde. Well, it's Valkyr's horde. It's not their horde. It's his. Um, They're defending their horde against people that are obviously trying to kill the dragon now that he has a big bounty on his head, and he obviously has a lot of treasure now. So of course people are gonna come and kill them. They are officially adventurers though. They have plates. Well, they had their plates already, but they got like an upgrade to their plates, and oh yay, hooray, they're still adventurers. But Victor's obviously frustrated with all this. So ultimately, what they decide is, let's move. We're tired of people bugging us. Let's move. They eventually come to the conclusion that there's a castle over in the desert that if they kick out the big bad that's in there, they can use as their own base. They go over there. The big bad guy is a lich, by the way. His name is Furyborn, one of the main characters. One of the characters that is continuous throughout the stories. And he is obviously doesn't want to leave his place. He's basically tells them, no, fuck you. Why am I going to leave my castle? Because again, Valkyr just thinks because he's a dragon that everything, he can do whatever he wants and da 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 da. And Then Furyburn does something that really pisses him off. He turns all his gold into lead with a spell. And because neither Valkyr nor Victor are spellcasters, they have no real way of getting rid of the magic that he cast. Again, a fight ensues. It's not really the big important part. So to kind of bring you up on about Valkyr and stuff. Well, no, this actually happens afterwards. I guess I can do this after. Because when they deal with this, is kind of like the big thing that they kind of get around at the beginning. So after this, they go through. They find a village nearby. It's a village near at the bottom of the volcano where the castle is. And this desert is called the Murmurin. So they go down to the village. Apparently, this village is full of werewolves and other monstrous races that just happen to live there because, well, humans and the other, non-monster races don't exactly like them. So some of them just happen to be living around here. We get introduced to two of the two name werewolves we get are Croissant, if you want to pronounce it that way, and Chocolatine. We also get introduced to an old friend of Victor's back from his thieving days, where she's basically a lizard folk. If you guys don't know what that is, basically a lizard person. She's bipedal and everything, but she has a lizard body. So, again, there's some shenanigans. Victor ends up talking to one of the other gods called the Moon Man. Well, not to the god directly, but to one of his servants because there's a cult there. He ends up being okay because apparently Valkyr went and burned down these guys' previous village. So the werewolves' previous village, so they ended up coming over here. Again, some shenanigans. Eventually, they go take the fight to Furyborn. They rally. Valkyr, being a dragon, obviously threatens to kill or eat anybody that doesn't go along with his wishes. He basically makes them and some other people that happen to gather around to fight the Lich up in his castle. But in true dragon fashion, Valkyr says, fuck this, and just literally charges through the castle. And literally just reaches the main point of the main chamber. Again, there's a big fight, a back and forth between the Lich and Valkyr. Eventually, Valkyr wins. Well, technically Victor wins, and we'll get to that in a second. But technically Valkyr wins, and now the castle is theirs. And this is probably like the big point other than the final battle up until we get to the end. So, hooray, this is like their big thing. So, I guess another point I'll mention was that before they decided to fight the Lich, they took like 2 weeks or something, I think, to train. The villagers helped Valkyr and Victor reach level 20, a little over level 20, like a couple levels over level 20, because apparently the system is meant to really slow you down after you hit 20. So they do that. They, they grind. Valkyr gains some abilities that help him fight against magic users. He does that, and that's what they have now. So now Furyborn. But also the point being, Victor ended up changing around his classes so that he can become a Scythe Lord or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the thing is called, but he did that so that they could defeat Furyborn. So that because he's a Lich, he technically can't die. As long as his soul is allowed to return to his phylactery, he will always come back. And he works for like this, well, until we figure out later. But for now, he works for the big bad. So obviously, they don't want to let him go. He takes this class in order to seal him away. But Victor does not like the idea about taking these darker classes because, obviously, the more you fool around with dark abilities or dark magic, you're more likely to be corrupt by it. But he does it. They win. Again, the castle is theirs. Again, to catch you up and to try and put a more of a spin on this, than, other than giving a summary for the book itself. Throughout this, again, Victor's gaining more abilities, and he's be able to do different things that he would not think he would be able to ever do on his own. Obviously, Valkyr being basically this overpowered, you know, this overpowered partner that he has, doesn't, um, kind of makes things somewhat redundant. So long as Valkyr gets his way, they always win. But that's not so much a problem. There's no problem with an OP character so long as you handle it correctly. Um, but Valkyr's also getting some neat abilities when he training to learn this class, in order to fight Furyborn, because obviously he's a spellcaster, he's a necromancer. He ends up going for the Witch Hunter class, which gives him an aura of anti-magic. So long as his charisma is high enough, he can deflect spells, as long as their output doesn't rival his or something. So we have some neat little growth for them, but also as a relationship, Victor, especially after this fight, is shown to start really enjoying his time with Valkyr. Right at the beginning, before they went to even while they were still in Murmurin, he was still kind of hoping that some of these guys would be able to kill Valkyr and get him out of this, get him away from this guy, because he doesn't want to basically serve him for the rest of his life, or until he gets him killed, basically. But it's, again, especially after this fight, or when they're heading into this fight, Victor's starting to show that he is starting to really enjoy Valkyr's presence, and that he is, well, again, we'll get to somewhat of this later, but kind of considering him a friend, like a real adventuring buddy. Especially all the stuff they've been through. Well, but mind you, all the stuff they've been through has kind of been because of Valkyr either doing something dumb, or because, well, at least in the beginning, Victor had tried to get him obviously killed, so that he tried to get some dangerous stuff to happen to him. But with this, they are at peace for a little while. Valkyr purges his gold of the spell using his new abilities, and they, as far as officially what was supposed to happen, they technically own the desert now, or at least a great swath of land in the desert, because the point of this there was also a quest attached to this, or some kind of a edict by the king, that whoever kills this lich, you own this land. So they own land now. Hooray! Officially, without Valkyr taking shit. So of course, then we come back to, with that leads into the next part of the story, being the government's introduction, as well as another kind of somewhat main character in Kia. Kia is known as the Shining Knight of Gardamain. She is the highest level adventurer of this country that's still alive. So we get her backstory. She, like Victor, comes from Earth, who is she is acclaimed. She's claimed by the very good gods. I'm air quoting good gods of the of this world. And again, there's some little funny jokes in there. I'm not gonna say every little joke, but it was kind of pretty funny how they introduced why she was chosen, and how they were gonna make her into a really great adventurer. We also, and then so the point being that she gets introduced. They want to send she says, well, I'm gonna go and inspect these new people, because she is told about Victor and Valkyr, and and obviously she's like, well, a dragon's evil, right? A dragon just likes to kill and kill, steal, and eat things. But apparently, what she's basically told this, and this is like one of my favorite things. She's basically told, she's given the breakdown on them. She's given like some different sides from like the officials that were there when they were doing things, and the townspeople and people that they know when they were doing things. Basically, this is what she says. She basically says, okay, so they're either they're either conniving geniuses looking to gain power, so they can eventually do something much greater, or they're just chaotic idiots. and yes, ultimately yes, I think that sums it up pretty good. Victor and Valkyr are just literally chaotic idiots. They just get into situations where they're kind of forced to fight, or more so like Valkyr feels like he's forced to fight, and Victor kind of just gets pulled along. Well, one important thing too, and you see how long this part is going. I thought I was gonna try to make this 50-50, but sorry if this spoiler section is becoming really long. But basically what we learn is that when Kia's talking to the gods, because she got to talk to the gods when she came. Victor didn't have a choice when he came. He got pulled in and thrown into the world. He didn't have a say. But when she got pulled in, it was kind of funny, and kind of leaves a little bit of a mystery. But she was directly told that dragons are forbidden for being a choice for reincarnation in their world. And it kind of just makes you think that, why? Because, dragons are these very powerful creatures where if you have one of them on your side who at least to the extent realizes that they were human, like they would have she still has her same memory. Her and Victor have their memories of their previous life. They didn't forget anything. So if you allow them to be reincarnated as dragons, you would literally just have dragons that are just not giant assholes. Sorry, I had to take a drink. So it did make me think that, why are dragons banned? Like, I understand why you don't want to give dragons more power within themselves, but for someone to be reincarnated as a dragon, wouldn't that again just put them on your side automatically? I mean, the people who are reincarnated ultimately have free will. They don't have to follow the gods if they don't want to, or they have the ability to make their own decisions. But why not? So that's just kind of a little bit of tidbit of the system, and a little bit of overhanging mystery, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But that is something that I really did take out of that. So to quickly brush through this next stuff, Valkyr and Victor are gonna go and try and take some princesses away from one of the big bad guy that we know of right now, called Brandon Moore. Sorry. Called Brandon Moore. But they got this quest because, again, I'm gonna bring this up because she kind of is one of my favorite characters. Really, she is. So when they took over the land, again, the king had to officially recognize them, at least somewhat, because that was the deal. So in order to recognize them, they set up basically a guild hall, a place where adventurers can go and get quests, be paid, and have connections, right? And guess who happens to be the one they sent? Charlene. Oh boy, she was not happy to be with them again. But the reasoning they gave was because she was the one who did the paperwork for them to become an adventuring group, and because she's already done quests with them, she knew them the best, so there was no one else better to really put on their land. So they send her over there, and she's there now. And I always feel so bad because it feels like she's just she. I feel bad for her. She makes me laugh. I really liked her. Um. So again, she gives them the quest to go save the princesses from the big bad guy who the big bad guy just happened to take them. They meet Kia. Again, some misunderstandings happen. Kia gives them a good look over. Again, she can see using her abilities that neither one of them is truly evil. But she learned as she goes along, she learns that they're actually just dumb. They reach the bad guys basically his home base, like his hometown. It's this floating city in the desert. Uh, they find a giant super weapon because he used the iPad to gain schematics for planes. He made like a super weapon plane out of it. Uh, they eventually find the princesses and the main big bad guy himself. They have a fight, and as I'm gonna rush through this because then the final battle is basically the last thing that happens after this. Um, so Brandon Moore and Valkyr fight. Valkyr gets fucked up. He is, close to losing and dying. Again, we learn a bit more of dragon culture, being that, well, he said this before, that dragons don't believe in death because only, non-dragon people really die. Valkyr is over 1,000 years old at this point, and he apparently is expected to live another 1,000 at least. But as he's fighting, it finally dawns on him that yes, he can really die. Like he can truly die as he's bleeding and being all cut up and everything. Um. So again, the fight ensues. It's actually a really nice fight. It's a giant back and forth while Valkyr is actually using his head instead of his fucking mouse to do things. Because, by the way, this is what he does a lot. He just eats the bad guys. He either eats them or stomps on them. That's all he does when in a fight, really. But now with this fight being the challenge that it is, he can't do that. He actually has to use his brain. And he doesn't particularly like that he has to do that either. So again, things happen. Kia damages the super weapon. They have to get the fuck out. They dip, and they're back home. Valkyr is very fucked up. They have to take time to heal. Same thing with Victor. He's not exactly doing much better. He takes a chance to heal. Also, I don't remember when. I don't think I wrote that down, but sometime between after they beat Furyborn, and by the time, or at least after, but they finish fighting off before they went to go fight Brandon Moore, we got introduced to demons, and then when when they were actually fighting him, we got introduced to Hell. So that was fun. We got a new character out of that. His name is Malfi. He's an insect demon. Kind of funny. Like him. When they come back, we get introduced to Heaven, where we meet an angel. She's trying to sell Victor basically heaven insurance. That was again another fun little character. Oh, also too, in the background we have the Nightblades wanting to come into the land because Valkyr said in his land they're gonna allow no taxes and stuff like that because he's a dragon. The concept of taxes apparently sickened him. Again, he doesn't understand how people don't want to do anything for nothing. Like, it's kind of what's beyond him as a dragon, at least up on that point, at least for now. It's kind of this funny little premise. I do want to kind of wrap this up though. Also, after staving off, no, sorry, no, they haven't done that yet. Yeah. Valkyr's gonna have his bragging day where he wants to show off all his land, his treasure, and everything to all his family of dragons, obviously. Eventually that time comes. He and then when that time comes, demons break through. It's a very small plot point because it's actually they make it seem like it's a big deal. It's actually not that big a deal in the end, apparent because reasons. There's a demon door in Valkyr's horde room where it's a gateway to hell, basically. It's just played off for laughs. Not even a big deal. But again, the final battle begins. They had this giant plane, equipped with missile launchers and guns and stuff. So this is the final battle. Valkyr obviously goes up to fight them. They keep the castle safe by activating Furyborn's old defense system. He literally had like a defense grid of magic. So they use that to help keep the castle safe. They're fighting off waves and waves of demons and other dark shadowy creatures. So and as the main fight between Valkyr and and Brandon Moore goes on, having their final climactic fight and everything like that. While that's also going on, there's another character we're introduced to, but we don't think plays too much of a role until we learn later on, obviously. Again, we're not quite at that point. Her name is Melodious. She is what's known as a Fulmore. Fulmores are apparently like evil demigods in this world. But for some reason, and again, I'll touch this in when we get to the end, like the actual end. They're allowed to exist in this world, but they're kind of more or less evil demigods. She ends up fighting Victor, and ultimately Victor ends up dying. And Valkyr ends up killing Brandon Moore after being not critically, but still severely injured, and using up a lot of his own strength. He beats Brandon Moore. He hits what's known as the level 30 cap after defeating him. You can't progress. Oh, no, sorry. Wait, was that before? No, sorry. Before that, he had hit the level 30 cap. So, after defeating him the first time. So, he couldn't get any more levels. But after defeating him, he got what's known as a crest as part of the system. You get a crest. You're able to go past level 30 up to level 60. So he comes back after winning. He's like, "Hey, everybody, look! I destroyed their giant, big, evil bird. It's a giant plane machine, however you're gonna call it." He defeats them and he comes back and he sees that everybody, is finishing off the last stragglers and everything. He goes to find. He keeps calling out for Victor. One of his perks allows him to summon Victor from wherever he is, so long as he's not stopped by his magic. He's not coming though. He eventually finds the main group of characters up at the castle, and and he sees that Victor's dead, and he is actually surprisingly surprised by. I think they even said that they're kind of surprised afterward that he's actually surprised that he's actually very upset. While this is all going on and while they're being upset, Victor's up in basically heaven's waiting room with the angel he was talking to before. Again, long story short, a bunch of the gods come in. They talk to him. Not a bunch, like two of the gods come in. They talk to him. They're just being dumb. The gods are kind of dumb. And one final god comes in and says, "Well, I have good news for you. You're going to come back alive. And so Victor gets, well, he comes back to life. And I guess just to include Spiral, because he's been here, kind of sitting here, not really doing anything, and this thing's going on for way too long. But Spiral, how do you think that he came back to life?
Well, I mean, first of all, in that one section where you were just talking constantly about the Lich, all that was running through my head was fall.
Again, Spiral, it's not really a serious thing. It's really played for laughs.
Lone child. There is Spiral. Darkness for you. But yeah, the gods, they just kind of zap him, don't they?
No, but I mean, what do you think the reason is that he came back alive? Remember, there has to be a reason. You don't just come back to life because they feel like it. Everything has a price, bro.
Well, I mean, if they're gods, nothing has a price. You can make shit
No, they make the rules, and their rules are it comes at a price.
The dragon's gonna die.
No, but I'll say that. So that was just your guess. So Victor wakes up, obviously feeling like shit because he was dead. He wakes up, and he looks around and he says, "How did you guys pay for me to come back?" And they all kind of say, "Well, I mean, we all technically chipped in, but with a mighty wail, you hear in the background, my God." Valkyr had sacrificed more or less his entire horde to resurrect Victor. And he gives you a number at the end. I didn't write down the exact number, but it's basically he went and spent about 13 million gold pieces to revive Victor's soul. The entire like year's worth of them doing things was gone.
If that's the case,
so basically,
got a bloody phoenix feather.
So the one that resurrected Victor was the god of commerce, basically, the god of like money. What's it called? Of money. What's it called? A merchant's money and something else. She's the one that allowed him to be resurrected. She'll willingly do anything as long as you're willing to pay her prices. And obviously her prices are in money. So again, with that, Victor is revived and they are left alone for a minute, and he asks Valkyr, "Why did you do this?" And Valkyr said, because again, for a dragon, at least in their world, money is everything. They don't think about anything else. All they ever want is money and the ability to show off just how much money they really have. And obviously show how powerful they are, because obviously they're powerful creatures, but really it comes down to money for them. It comes down to money for them. And he asked him why. Like, you would have never done this, like, for any other, at any other point. Why did you do this? And Valkyr basically told him, and in what's supposed to be a sweet moment, but again, he's such a dork. He said, "Because you're my friend." Basically, that's what he said. "Because you're my friend, I resurrected you. I didn't want to not have you. I basically didn't want to have. I did not want you to be gone." So he sacrificed his whole horde to get him back. So after that, it's just basically some wrap up and some side stories.
It's one of the side stories where they fuck.
Oh no, I just want to say very quickly to wrap it up. So again, the last like half hour was really just wrap up of them saying, "Oh, good job, let's fix up the city," blah 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 blah. But the side story is the first one is like a mini prequel chapter where it tells you like what he did right before he, like the time before he met Victor. And the second one is the second one is actually my favorite one. It leaves with them getting ready to fuck, but apparently that was just one of the kobolds, the female kobold. She she writes erotic fan fiction of them. She writes erotic fan fiction of Valkyr and some of the other characters and Victor doing with different people. So, I mean, that was my favorite one. The first one, again, is like a little bit of backstory. There's basically nothing else to say about that one. It's just a little bit of backstory for Valkyr. But I did like the second one because I thought the second one was funny to lead with erotic fan fiction. Did she literally, do you know Bob's Burger, Spiral, real quick?
Yeah.
She's
You want some more course?
The yellow kobold is basically Tina. But because Tina writes her erotic fan fictions about the other people at the school, which is kind of creepy. But she does that, right? So apparently, like that's a thing that the other kobolds already know about. But she obviously doesn't want anyone else to know besides them. So that was funny. They have like a mini kobold adventure where they're fighting off a giant rabbit. It's just silliness, but I really liked that beginning part. And with that, that's basically the end. Again, that was me running through like the entire story. A lot longer than I thought I would. I do want to hurry myself before it breaks an hour. So, again, if you liked anything I said, again, the links are down there. Go check out the book. I thought it was nice. Also, too, to say there will be a follow-up video with just me on some of my opinions. Because there is actually a continuation of this. Just not in book format. I'll touch on that's what's going to be the point of the other video. So there will probably be a follow-up to this one. But a little funny funny little fact. That's what I was trying to think of. When I finished reading the audiobook, when I finished listening to the book, the same day the author had also just finished writing like the entire story. He just finished the final chapter in the whole story, and it went up on the same day. I just thought that was a funny little fact. But yeah, so that's the story. What did you think, Spiral? Just to again, quick little wrap up, so I can end the video.
Yeah, that sounds all right.
So
I'll probably end up just listening to the fan fiction one for shits and giggles, but
no, it was literally just like a paragraph or two before they cut her off, basically, before it snaps to reality. Like they don't actually do any. It was literally just a funny little meme. But yeah, so again, thank you for watching. This has been me, Loking3, aka Blame Others. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.
bye.